In this lesson, we'll be taking a look at Vray Toon render effect, which is a very simple atmospheric plugin that produces cartoon-style outlines on objects in the scene. If I open up the frame buffer, this is the render we get from the scene right now. As you can see, there is no atmospheric effect here. Now, in order to add Vray Toon, from the rendering menu, open up the Environment and Effects window. And from the Atmosphere section, you can add Vray Toon. Now, without changing anything, if you render the scene, we are going to get render 01 and these black outlines on our objects in the scene. Vray Toon has some simple and self-explanatory parameters, and I'll be going through the more important ones here. Line color controls the color of the outline, obviously, and if we change it to this red color and render the scene, we are going to get render 02 in which the lines are red. Down here we have two units to control the width of the lines in pixels or in world units, which is currently set to centimeters. In the world unit, lines closer to the camera will be thicker, so we're gonna get perspective. Let's increase the width of the outline to 5 pixels, which gives us render 03. You get thicker lines. Opacity controls the overall opacity of the outline. If I set it to 0.5 and render the scene, we get render 04. And the red outlines are less opaque in this render. Let's set the opacity back to 1. We have hide inner edges. When this option is enabled, the inner edges of the geometry won't be considered for the calculation of the edges texture. And if we render the scene right now, you can see in render 05, the inner edges have no outline. Let's disable hide inner edges for now. And down here we have maps for all to control parameters like color, width, distortion, and opacity with the texture. For example, let's open up the material editor and create a noise map. Change the mapping to world XYZ. Set the noise type to fractal and size to 10. Now we can use this map to control something like maybe the opacity here. And if you are using a map to control these parameters, make sure the mapping type is set to world XYZ or screen. And if we gonna go ahead and render the scene, we're gonna get render 06, and we get varying level of opacity based on the noise map that we have defined. And down here in this exclude section, you can exclude certain objects from the Toon effect, and this way you can add more Toon effects and make sure they are only applied to certain objects. For example, maybe you have a sphere in your scene and you want to have a black outline on that sphere instead of this red outline. So you can simply exclude that sphere from this Toon effect and add another Toon effect and make sure the color in there is black, and this way achieve what you want. So you can have multiple Toon effects in your render simply. In this lesson, we learn about Vray Toon effects to produce cartoon style outlines on objects in the scene. See you in the next lesson.